Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took today inside the Discord as well as the game plan going into tomorrow. So this is what we looked like today. If we go to the 30-minute chart, we go over this every single day at open. Once you pull up the 30-minute chart, this tells you the trend in the market. So if we go on the put side, we know that yesterday we ended up closing bearish. We were still bearish. Why? Because the 10 was about the 50, and then right at open, this is what we looked like. Right at open, we were already below the 50 quite a bit. I wouldn't have bought that, or tried to go short here at the 50, because if you go to the 0-day chart, these were crossing, and what you would look for in this scenario is a negative cross on calls. So I went over this yesterday. If we got the negative cross on calls, that would confirm that we're going to get a bounce at the 50, pretty strong bounce, which never happened. This cross ended up playing out. It looks really nice. It's like, oh, why didn't you take the cross? It works beautifully well. The market was still bearish at the time, and that's just not a trade I was looking for. So I missed out on this pump, but there was no reason to take this. The market was still bearish. There was a chance we could have wicked back about the 50, and what we were looking for was this chart to go negative, which never happened. And then you could see that we just ended up trending up higher on this throughout the day. And once the first I'm not sure how long went by, but after a few 30-minute candles ended up going by, you could pretty much assume that market's going neutral and this is going to go higher, which it did, because if we go here again, the 30-minute chart, this chart was going negative, or not this chart, my bad. On the put side, this chart was going negative. What I mean by that, 10's going below the 50, bears are losing the trend, and this usually pushes us in the opposite direction. So this would be to the upside, and that's exactly what happened today. I actually did take a long today. I didn't call anything on the Discord, neither did Colton, because there really wasn't much to do. But I ended up catching a really fat move, not gonna lie. But right in this area, I went long. I went long right somewhere. 1140, 1145 is where I went long, and the reason I was going long was because this 50 SMA was sloped up super hard, and also I did have QQQ pulled up, and we were somewhat close to the 50 there. So I did take an early position to go long, and I ended up catching like 120 points. I didn't call this out just because it's not a typical trade I would take, and it would just cause confusion. But I did take this trade, and once we did close above the 10, you could have tried some long at that point, because a reclaim of the 10 is valid in a neutral market. And I went over this in yesterday's video, but if we did come down this 50, I was probably going to buy it. And the reason behind that is, even though we are neutral, I went over this yesterday, even though we are neutral, you could buy that 50 dip because this 30-minute chart was going negative. On the initial negative cross, I just said that we're likely to see a continuation move higher since the bears are losing the trend. Likely, we're going to go higher. And since we're going higher on the 0-day chart, that 50 is more likely to hold. So, in a neutral market, this is the only time I would buy the 50 SMA, is when we're getting that initial negative cross from losing one trend to going neutral. That's the only time you would do it. Tomorrow, I wouldn't be buying a 50 dip or a 50 dip on any of the contracts if we're neutral. So that's pretty much why you could have taken that. And we obviously didn't get the 50 dip today, but you could have tried the closure above the 10. The risk probably would have been a little bit higher on that. It really wasn't too much. We ended up getting a little bit of a wick right here, so it closed above. If you went long, stop loss, just closure back below 10. Then next candle ended up ripping really high, so that would have worked out. That would have paid you fat as well. So if you took the reclaim, you got paid. Other than that, there really wasn't anything else to take. So this chart ended up going negative right here. There was really no entry to take on this, because if you go pull up the puts real quick, they were right at this 50 SMA. So in this scenario, you'd wait for the cross. 10 went above the 50, 50 never curled, so there was no entry on that little 0-day cross, which never happened or never played out. So, neutral day, bears lost a trend. It was a very simple read. And also, if you go look on the 30-minute chart right here, this is why I love the system, and we know exactly when to expect rejection. That is the wrong chart. Rejection. So we end up ripping. How many points did we rip today? I don't even know. 400 or 500 points, and we knew exactly when we could expect a reversal, possible reversal, right at this 50 SMA. The 50 SMA on the 30-minute, it's a major pivot in the market, and ended up dropping us like 250 points from that 50. So you could have tried that stab right there for a short. It played out beautifully. There was literally no drawdown on it whatsoever. It tapped the 50 exactly and ended up marking a top, and it gave like 250 points. So you could have tried that, and that paid. The 10 reclaim paid. Obviously, the 0-day cross on calls is not a trade you want to be taking, because we were right around that 50 SMA area. Again, you'd wait for that chart to go negative to, take a short, but we never got it. So you just have to play the waiting game. And, in that case, I was waiting for the 50 dip, never got it. Could have played the reclaim, and that worked. Same thing with the 50 reject right here, that worked. So, it's very simple. We're just in a neutral market. A lot of times we go from 50 SMA to 50 SMA. So, today the Bears lost a trend. 30-minute went negative on the puts, and we rode it all the way. Or not, I didn't ride it, but price went all the way right back into the 50 on the call side. That is something that is a common occurrence. When one side loses the trend, it sometimes goes right back to the other side. Just depends on the scenario. But yeah, it was very easy to read on the market today. If you were, going short, there really wasn't, any reason to short besides at this 50 SMA. So, that's what we did today. No alerts called out just because there really wasn't any clean, entries. I kind of took an early entry and got lucky because some news came out and we ended up ripping like 100 some points. So, is what it is. On tomorrow, solid day today. If you didn't catch anything, it's completely fine. I mean, there really wasn't much to take anyway. So, if you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. Wait a minute, completely forgot. Game plan going into tomorrow. Very simple again. Well, market, there was news after hours, so market's absolutely ripping right now. So the play to be looking for tomorrow is if we do flip bullish. So if the 30-minute crosses, market's going to be bullish, and in that case, your focus is on the call side. Wouldn't be really interested in shorting at all. Since we're trending bullish, if we do trend bullish tomorrow at the open, then 0-day crossing calls, most likely the calls will be already crossed. So a 50 dip will most likely be the trade to take tomorrow. And, if the whole move reverses and we're back neutral tomorrow, 0-day cross on either side of the premium, negative cross on either side of the premium. That's pretty much all the trade possibilities for tomorrow. So, if you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, join Discord down below. But, yeah, I'm out. Peace.